Good morning. Dear President Zelensky, dear Volodymyr, welcome to Oslo. It's a cold morning, but it is a very warm welcome to a friend and a man who is standing in the middle of a very critical fight for his country's independence, but also for values and standards that are critically important for Norway. We will continue to stand by the people of Ukraine. This is a fight for freedom, and it is also important for us. And I hope you will leave Oslo with a strong sense of support from Norway, the Norwegian Parliament, and from your Nordic colleagues. Norwegian long-term political, military, economic and humanitarian support to Ukraine remains strong. We have a united parliament, all parties, behind our 5-year Nansen package, supporting your defense and supporting your economy and your rebuilding efforts. And we know just for this morning that Ukraine is constantly being attacked by Russian missiles, and you are in need of support to defend yourself. Norway is announcing today precise additional support to Ukraine. I'd just like to share with you. President Zelensky and his government needs to pay nurses, doctors, teachers, and run his administration. We are now able, as part of our Nansen package, to make a pledge of $1 billion in 2023. We are about to leave that year now. And then we are also increasing our financial and humanitarian support to around $800 million this year. We can also then announce that we will be supporting in 2024, in the early months, direct economic support to these critical services so that we don't get a shortage in delivery to the Ukrainian people. We have also decided to strengthen the protection of critical infrastructure by donating additional air defense. Every day reminds us that this is critically important. This is something that Norway has done in the past, and we have been able to increase that now. We will also increase our co-funding with European partners to the defense industry in order to produce more ammunition to the benefit of Ukrainian forces. And again, as I said, budgetary support to the World Bank mechanism in order to assist Ukrainian with basic public services. We have also announced a winter package of humanitarian aid, food, water, warm clothes necessary for the cold winter. And finally, I'd like to reiterate that we will continue to argue and support and defend Ukraine's right to defend itself and the key principles of international law. So, Volodymyr, you are welcome.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you will have a productive day.
Thank you very much. I'm sure, dear Jonas, Mr. Prime Minister, and dear journalists, and I'm glad to be here in your country, primarily to thank you in person, and to you, Jonas, and of course to all of Norway. Norway is one of the global leaders in supporting Ukraine, and your decisions and actions are not just timely and significant, they said, an example for others, other countries, an example of leadership when it's not just a few caring people, but a whole society that cares, and when it's not just individual strong personalities pushing to the need to help defend against genocidal aggression, but when a strong character of the entire nation is felt. Norway truly stands for freedom and normal, peaceful life rules. And thank you very much, Prime Minister, and for your leadership. And thank you to the entire government and Parliament of Norway, and of course, Norwegian society. Dear journalists, today at the summit, after our meeting, we'll have a summit of the countries of Northern Europe. Many bilateral meetings, discussions, a lot of collaborative work at the summit. We started this day with a face-to-face conversation with the Prime Minister of Norway. We discussed some important points, what's crucial for both of us today, the the overall progress of the day and our bilateral work Ukraine with Norway, supporting Ukrainian warriors, continuing our work to protect free navigation in the context of Russia's attempt to block the Black Sea, and our ports, protecting our cities from Russian terror. Last night, Russia launched another strike. Jonas said about it, yes, on Ukraine with ballistic missiles, particularly dangerous ones. And Russia target civilian infrastructure, no military infrastructure. All the infrastructure was civilian. It's very important. And over 50 people were injured, ordinary peaceful citizens. Strengthening the air shield remains a critical priority for us. It's the basic of life now for most Ukrainians, air defense. Norway has supported us, particularly with NASAMS systems, and Norway always become the first country to adopt a long-term support program for Ukraine. Thank you very much. And today we talked and we'll talk about such specific things that can save thousands of Ukrainian lives next year, as well as increase pressure on the aggressor. And of course, we are preparing for our joint work with partners today in the summit, and Ukraine truly values this format of work, Ukraine +5. And thank you so much that you are helping to protect our country, our people, our families. Thank you.
So now the leaders will be happy to take a couple of questions. The first question comes from Øystein Bogen, Television 2. Please.
Good morning. Lasko prosimo do Norvégii, pane presidente. I will ask the question in English. At the moment, there are aid packages for Ukraine being held up both in the United States and in the European Union. Mr. President, is it possible for Ukraine to win this war without that concrete aid at the moment? Og et spørsmål til statsminister Støre samtidig. Du nevner militær støtte til Ukraina, og det ble jo lovet tidligere i år en økt produksjon av artillerigranater blant annet, men den satsingen ser ut til å stå stille når det gjelder Norge. Hvorfor det?
Thank you so much for your question. So I will answer quickly in English. You know, the first days of the full-scale war, I mean, on 24th of February, we've been alone, and it was difficult, and it was very tough, tragic period for us, for our people. And you saw how it be alone. We've been almost occupied, but we didn't get away. We didn't run away, and we began to fight. So when you say if it's possible without help, it's possible like it was. I mean that it's difficult, and you lose a lot of people. If you want to not to lose your lives, your society, people, children, everybody, of course you need real strong defending shield, from aircrafts to artillery, it doesn't matter. I mean, you need it, and of course you can have it if the world, if Europe in unity around Ukraine. That's why, of course, you can't win without help, but you can't lose, because that is only you have. This is your country. Okay.
Svaret på de spørsmål på norsk. Vi bidrar nå på flere måter i å styrke produksjonen av ammunisjon og missiler, som kan også komme Ukraina til gode. Vi har samarbeid gjennom bevilgning til Nammo tidligere i år, og vi er også nå med i denne ASAP-samarbeidet i Europa for å styrke det. Og en av de tingene jeg annonserte nå var jo at vi går inn med en norsk betydelig bevilgning for å bidra der. Men dette må vi være flere om, og Norge klar over at vi har en spesielt ansvar og en mulighet til å gjøre en forskjell her.
And the last question goes to Nerius Adomatis from Reuters. Please.
Good morning. A question to Ukraine's president. What do you expect from the EU summit to do this week regarding the start of membership talks with Ukraine, given that Hungary still insists on blocking the move? And what's your message this morning to Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orban? And do you have a plan B in case that EU does not start the membership talks? Thanks.
Can I answer in Ukrainian language? Do you have translation? Yes.
Radio check, do you hear me loud and clear? That's interpreter speaking. First of all, that's not an easy meeting and not an easy summit, which will take place since 14th of December. We are really satisfied that 99 countries from around the whole composition are in full support to Ukraine, and they are ready to launch negotiation process for further and future membership of Ukraine in the European Union. There are blockings from the side of Hungary, and that's a fact. From our side, we've been very constructive. We have done absolutely everything. We completed all recommendations of the European Commission, all recommendations of our partners, all recommendations for adaptation of even those laws and conclusions of Venice Commission, which means that Ukraine has done everything to prevent one or another state from blockade or beginning of this negotiation. Therefore, that's just a matter of resilience of countries of the European Union, because this year Russia had no victories. They were able to do nothing. They were able to occupy no village. I'm not talking about towns and cities. They were not able to do anything. Nonetheless, they launched their activity towards different countries, not only countries of Europe, but on the other continents, to put pressure on these countries. And if we want to have a positive result, that's not a matter of plan B. We have only one plan. That's our choice of our people to be in the EU. Then, if we will not have this positive decision, it will say and show that Putin has vetoed this decision. So that was the conclusion from the situation.
And on that note, we need to wrap up this press conference. Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you very much.
Вітаємо на цій прес-конференції по саміту Україна-Північній державі. Перш за все, ми даємо слово усім лідерам. Перший спікер – це прем'єр-міністр.
Доброго дня всім. Велика честь і дуже приємно від імені північних 5 країн отримувати тут президента Володимира Зеленського в північі, в Осло і в північному суспільстві. У нас вже багато було.
But there's a specific significance of being united in the Nordic family and welcoming the President of the free and independent Ukraine. This morning we've had a discussion on how we can confirm, maintain and increase our support to Ukraine at this very critical moment of Ukraine's fight for its own independence and freedom. We make all of us contributions to Ukraine's struggle, military support, economic support, humanitarian support. What I would like to underline is the political support and the unity of message from the populations of the Nordic countries. We all represent countries where there is broad unanimity in support of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people's struggle for freedom. The courage and resilience of the people of Ukraine continue to impress the world. This morning we learned about new missiles falling over Ukrainian cities. We aim our military support towards the defense of Ukraine, especially from attacks coming from missiles, coming from rockets, and we will continue this robust political humanitarian support for the long run. So, President Zelensky, we support your peace formula. We have been having good exchanges with you here today, and I'm happy to give you the floor, and then my colleagues will also make short statements. So, President Zelensky,
thank you so much, Jonas. Thank you for the invitation again, dear leaders, journalists, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad that our second summit, Ukraine plus Nordic Europe, is happening right on time and with full respect for our Europe, each of our countries and people's interests. The essence of the free world is caring for our community, our country and people's interests. And in Europe, this is exactly what we do. And we are protecting our way of life from a completely different, opposing system, one where only the interests of a single, irrational person matter, the one with all the power in Russia. And if he wants, he starts wars. If he dreams of an empire, hundreds of thousands of lives are lost to his delusions. And we must keep our pressure on him and his system so that he feels the losses and realize he must respect us, respect Europe, respect international law, freedom, freedom of all the nations. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to thank each leader and country for yours real huge support. Jonas, Prime Minister, thank you very much. Norway's leadership in supporting Ukraine in defense, financing and politics. Special thanks for the air defense support and the new air defense system. This is great news for all of us, for our families, our people, our children. Thank you so much. President of Finland, thank you for the 21 packages of defense aid for our warriors and for doubling artillery and ammunition production in Finland. This support is crucial, not just for our freedom, but also for other European nations sharing a border with Russia who are understanding what the threat is. Thank you. Prime Minister of Denmark, dear Mette, I want to especially recognize your country's patronage of rebuilding one of our regions, Mykolaiv and its region, and I'm grateful for creating the Ukraine Support Fund and leading the Aviation Coalition Initiative. Thank you for another huge package. Thank you so much. Prime Minister of Iceland, your principled stance on holding Russia accountable for aggression and establishing the registry of damages during Iceland's Council of Europe presidency is valuable. Together we will restore justice, and thank for your decision long-term support. Prime Minister of Sweden, thank you for 14 packages of defense aid for Archers, IRIS-T and powerful CV-90s. We value your active support for Ukraine at the European institutional level. And I believe the day will come when Sweden's voice in the alliance will strongly support also our membership. And thank you all for your support. Thank you again for invitation, and I'm confident that as long as we are united and as long as Europe cares about unity, Russia will not break the freedom of our peoples. Slava Ukraine.
Mr. President, thank you. President Minister.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It is very important that we Nordic countries can together reflect our strong support to Ukraine. Thank you, Jonas, for continuing the tradition we started in Helsinki. The results today have been more understanding and even more united, even stronger support to Ukraine. Finland has done its share. We are now preparing our 21st aid package, which consists of armament. And I would point out that what we need here in Europe is that we have to take seriously the production, industrial production of armament. Finland is doing its best. Now we are doubling the produce of ammunition so that we are more prepared for the future. Unfortunately, times have changed. We are not living anymore in a Europe which always lives in peace and security. When things change, we have to learn to change also ourselves and our thinking. It is very important, like you said, that we support fully the just and fair and lasting peace for Ukraine. And in that purpose, Finland is participating to the 10 points peace agreement and hope that leads to peace.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Jakobsdottir from Iceland.
Thank you, Jonas. Thank you for hosting us here in Oslo, and thank you, Volodymyr, for being with us. It has been a really meaningful meeting, and I think it's very important to underscore the strong and steadfast support of the Nordic countries to a free and independent Ukraine. The Nordic countries individually and as a group stand with the people of Ukraine, and we will continue to do so. We have issued a joint statement which demonstrates our contribution and support. Obviously, the nature of Iceland's support is predominantly civilian, but from day one we have provided political support everywhere we have been able to do so in the international fora. We have fully aligned with EU sanctions and given economic, humanitarian, energy-related as well as security and defense-related support. Last month we delivered a fully equipped field hospital to Ukraine to provide life-saving support for wounded soldiers, and now we are working on plans to allocate support to Ukraine in 2024 and making a long-term plan for support to Ukraine for the next years. And that funding will be used to strengthen our civilian contribution and focusing also on what Ukraine needs in the next months and years. We have joint international measures to ensure accountability, because peace won't be achieved unless we also achieve justice. And I think this is important. We are participating in the core group at the UN on the establishment of a special tribunal for the crime of aggression. And the register of damage that Volodymyr mentioned here earlier was one of the main outcomes of the Reykjavik summit of the Council of Europe. And now we actually are seeing that work progressing. where we now have a board of the register, and we are seeing that they are working in very close cooperation with the Ukrainian director in the project to further developing and strengthening that project. And I would like to add that we are very supportive of Ukraine's ambitions that they will have a say on their future within Europe and within the Euro-Atlantic collaboration. So we support them fully in that. The war must come to an end, and we fully support Ukraine in that ongoing process, and that is our common goal for a free and independent Ukraine.
Thank you, Katrin. Prime Minister Fredriksen from Denmark.
Thank you, Jonas, for giving us this opportunity to underline that all Nordic countries stand firmly with Ukraine. We have supported Ukraine from the very beginning of this war with weapons, civilian and humanitarian support. We are now at a crucial point in the war, and we need to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to continue its fight. It goes for today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. And that is why we are working closely together with allies and partners to establish also a long-term security commitment. Putin needs to know that he cannot win this war. We stand firmly behind Ukraine. In Denmark, we have committed more than 8 billion euro now in supporting Ukraine, and we will provide F-16s together with partners. Tomorrow, my government will present a new military donation package to the Danish Parliament. The package will be of almost 1 billion euro. If approved, it will include some of the things that Ukraine needs right now, like ammunition, tanks, drones, and other equipment important for the ongoing fight. Now, it is not time to tie down from a war that brave Ukraine soldiers are fighting every day. So we need to underline the European perspective and that Ukraine belongs to our transatlantic community. And there is no doubt we will support Ukraine's fight as long as it is needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mette. Prime Minister Kristersson, Sweden. Ulf, please.
Jonas, thanks for hosting us, and Volodymyr, thanks for being here. You know that you have the deepest respect for you and for the Ukrainian people and your tireless defense against Russia's aggression. When we say that you are fighting for your own country's safety and survival, but also for Europe's democracies, we really mean it. We are in a very serious situation right now. This is a crucial time for both short and long-term support to Ukraine. In short term, urgent support is needed for this winter, this second war winter. And tomorrow the Swedish government will approve a winter package for your civil infrastructure. In the long term, this steadfast Nordic support will continue. But also Europe and EU is key, and tomorrow European Council will discuss the EU budget and enlargement. Continued financial support for Ukraine is the very most important question for us on tomorrow's and Friday's and perhaps Saturday's meeting. And to underline again that Ukraine's future is within the European Union. Thank you so much.
So now we open up for questions, and the first question comes from Morten Jentoft, the Norwegian Broadcasting.
Yes, first question for Mr. President from Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Yesterday, we saw in the news that some US generals working with Ukraine said that now it's time for Ukraine to defend themselves. It's not the time for offensive. Do you agree that the military situation now is so critical that the most important for Ukraine is now to keep the front line, to defend itself? And second question for you, are you very disappointed that you didn't get any clear promises from your visit in the United States? Thank you. Jackie.
Can Yes. Да. Дякую за запитання.
For this question.
Щодо заяви
In terms of claim of the generals of the United States and some personalities, several military people, I should say that in any case, that's not about crisis, that's about winter, and during winter time, we always have slowing of one or another operations, counteroffensive or defensive, doesn't matter. Therefore, I think that this signal is related exactly to this matter. We understand that Russia had no success and victory during this year. They were not able to occupy any territory. During winter period, everything is slowing down because of different reasons. We are talking about defense of east of our state, particularly because the majority of troops of the Russian Federation are being accumulated there. They've been trying to do this for many times. Last year, we were able to destroy Wagner formation there, to kill 20,000 people, and now they are sending a huge amount of their troops there. So nowadays we are talking about hundreds of thousands of service members. Therefore, we have to deter them there and destroy them there. In terms of victory, everybody is talking about huge success on sea. I think that it is a success for our military people and for our citizens. We were able to deblock Black Sea. We were able to push away Black Sea fleet of the Russian Federation from the Black Sea, and that was success. Therefore, we have to be prepared for further operations. If we are talking about your second question, in terms of yesterday meetings and activities, vice versa, with congressmen, senators, representatives of both parties, with administration of the president, and with him personally from the Speaker of the United States, I received a positive signal concerning support of Ukraine and assistance from the side of the United States. There is a matter in time frame, there is a matter in internal political situation. It goes without saying that it takes place, but we all have sureness.
The next question goes to Bolholm, Swedish news agency TT.
My question is also for President Zelensky. And do you feel that the international support for the Ukraine is starting to fail? And what is the most important thing that Europe can do for the Ukraine right now?
Here, I don't feel it. And I'm very happy that we have such strong partners, Nordic countries. What Europe can do the same, what Nordic countries do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next question comes from Kita Kohonen, MTV Finland.
Hello, and this question is also for President Zelensky. You met Prime Minister Viktor Orban a few days ago, and you had a discussion. What did you discuss, and what, in your opinion, is Orban's motive for his actions towards Ukraine?
Thank you so much. I can't tell you that it was a special meeting. I mean, we had dialogue. Yes, it's true. And I think we have to organize very constructive meeting between our countries because we have common borders. I mean, we are neighbors. We have to speak. And that is one of the very important topic what I raised up with him, that we have to speak, we have to meet, and we have to decide any problems. But I really don't see something global problems. I don't see them. That's why we need just to meet. And I showed him my positive attitude to it. That second, where I think I was right and very direct. The key is very direct to him, that he has no any reasons to block Ukrainian membership in EU. And I asked him to tell me one reason, not 3, 5, 10. Tell me one reason. I'm waiting for answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last question goes to Fredrik Fogde from the Danish news agency Ritzau.
You obviously have a lot of support of the Nordic countries, but in some other countries there talks about maybe not giving the same amount of donations, about money in the forthcoming months. Is this a concern for you going into 2024, also in terms, of regaining peace at some point without giving away any territory?
Neighboring with Russia, that is the problem. Everything else, it's difficult situations, which we will manage. Thank you so much.
So this concludes this press conference. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonas.
Thank you, Jonas.
Thank you.
Members of Parliament, Prime Minister, Ministers, it's a huge honor for me to welcome the President of Ukraine, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, to Norway and to the heart of our democracy, our Parliament, the Stortinget. Only 3 times since World War II have we allowed distinguished guests from abroad to address our members of Parliament and government in this chamber. One of them was Winston Churchill in 1948. The last occasion was when you spoke to us last year. Now you are here again. This says much about how highly we value your leadership and the courage of your people. Mr. President, last year I visited Ukraine. It made a deep impression on me to meet a local priest in the town of Bucha. He had conducted 400 funerals in 2 weeks. People he had baptized, married, his friends and neighbors were found in the mass graves. That's evil. That's evil and a violation of all international law. It's happening on our continent in Europe. We are living in a world where we see a major setback for democracy, where authoritarian regimes like Russia, China and Iran find together. We, the countries that stand for democracy, need to stand together. The war you are fighting in Ukraine is not only about the future of your country, it is about the future of democracy in Europe. We must not cease to support in your struggle. Mr. President, behind us you can see the painting of the founding fathers of our Norwegian Constitution. They are watching us every day, reminding us of our legacy, unity and democracy. All my colleagues here, all of the 169 members of Parliament, no matter political party, we stand with the people of Ukraine for the long term. Your struggle is our struggle. Please, Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You said Churchill was here. So we will win. Because I think that this is because enemy is the same. Great honor to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you for your big support for our people, our country, our men and women, our children. They are very strong. Thank you so much. They are strong because we have such strong friends. Norway. Thank you so much. Thank you so kind words, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the Parliament, Mr. Prime Minister, esteemed journalists and all the guests, dear people of Norway. It's an honor to address the Norwegian Parliament and people for the second time, and now in person. And I'm here to personally thank you for the incredible support Norway has given Ukraine. Protecting against aggression is always about saving lives, lives that could be lost to an enemy's destruction, cruelty and deportation. And we are saving lives together with you, and thanks to you, thank you again, Norway. Thank you very much. This is to you. Thanks so much. And I'm reminded of a phrase well known in Norway that resonates, I think resonates with our feelings, especially on February 24th, why it wasn't a triumph of Russian aggression, but of the unity of different countries and people for freedom. The phrase goes, sure, we were not many, but we were enough. And it's so true. On February 24th and in the early weeks of the full-scale war, there weren't many leaders or countries who really believed that freedom could stand up to Russia. We had less weaponry, a smaller It's a fact, a smaller army, but enough courage. And we stood firm. The world eventually understood who we are and who is with us. And Norway did not hesitate and stood with us from the first hours with your hearts. The most important, with your hearts, with your minds and aid. And there weren't many at the time, but we were enough to change the world, enough to make the world believe in power of freedom and hope for victories in such cruel war. Ladies and gentlemen, people of Norway, I had addressed you for the first time on the 35th day of full-scale war. Today is the 658th day. Yes, and it's been a colossal way, but we still have a way to go to protect freedom and ensure our people's and Europe's security. We need the world's attention and support now as much as ever. Why? Because while we now have effective weapons, we will lack enough to fight this war on conditions of freedom, not those dictated by the enemy. The world majority now sees Russian aggression as a crime, but Putin has found bodies in Iran and North Korea receiving weapons that kill our people. Unfortunately, dictatorships supply Russia more regularly than many democracies supply Ukraine. 1 million artillery shells from Pyongyang to Putin. It's happening, and I thank everyone in Europe who helps us withstand this pressure and supports us precisely as needed, enough to protect freedom and rules-based world order. We now know how to inflict painful losses on Russia, which might eventually bring them to a sober reality. But it's the 658th day, and sadly not everyone can stay focused on defending freedom for so long. Yesterday I was in the United States, and you all know the challenges with supporting our defense here in Europe, also the potential weakening or interruption of American leadership is defending the free world inspires dictators at the mere possibility. Putin might enter the new year in high spirits, and it wouldn't be Ukraine's fault. And that's why I'm so grateful to you, Norway, to all our partners in the region, and you've maintained your attention on Ukraine, just like at the war's start. You wish for our victory and care about our people's fate. You helped us last winter when Russia tried to destroy our energy infrastructure and make Ukrainians freeze to death. And you're helping us now against new missile attacks. And you are doing this without delays. Thank you so much. And Russia hasn't succeeded, and we can continue to prevent their victories, and we will do it. Norway was the first to approve a long-term support program for us, for our families, for Ukraine, setting an example of other nations. Today in Oslo, we had the Nordic plus Ukraine summit, and I've heard that our regional partner support is becoming a long-term, huge step. I'm thankful very much from all of us. And it's not just about sending the right signal to Moscow that Ukraine won't be left unsupported. It's about the right signal to our people, to our soldiers, everyone in Ukraine fighting and working for freedom. And this is important for people's motivation, and not only in Ukraine, the whole world is witnessing how we fight, what we can do compared to what the enemy of freedom can do. And I'm proud of the Ukrainian warriors and our people, brave men and women, who have done extraordinary things. Ukraine has reclaimed 50% of the territories Russia took after February 24th. And we won the Black Sea, restoring free navigation in our waters, thanks in particular to your NASAMS. harpoons and other support, and we are struggling to get the badly needed air defense to control the sky and to win the sky the way we won the Black Sea. And once the sky is under our control, we will keep regaining our land step by step, the occupied territory. Ukraine defends itself for the same reasons you wouldn't tolerate the enemy. Ukraine will protect itself because we have the right to live freely, just like all other nations. Ukraine stands firm in this fight, not only because of our character, but because we, like you, the people of Norway, and all who help us perceive freedom the same way. The 21st century should not be a time for dictators to triumph, and it won't be. We must do enough for this. Anyone who visits Norway immediately sees that life and people are the winners. That's how your country is organized, with respect for life and for people. And when you say words, they are not hollow. And when you give promises, you deliver on them. And when you see injustice, you act. These are the principles, real principles. Principles underpin the freedom. And if you are brave, maybe it's not many, but enough to win. Thank you, Norway, very much. Slava Ukraini. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.